Welcome to the County Business Club's podcast, hosted by Sam Thomas and powered by Picture Book Films.
So moving on, we obviously just talked about some of your successes in regards to, and failures. People talking about the teams that you've chosen, how you've built that team. Like I said, when you first started, a team of 3, and now you're over 20, and at that stage, and that's one of the things that you're sort of proud of, creating that team. And one thing that I'm really keen with this podcast is really keen to find out, it's a subject I find fascinating, is culture, creating a culture within a company. What do you do? How do you achieve that? How do you create something as a business owner and a leader to get those good people around you that they buy into what you're trying to do, and you build that good quality culture? Talk to me a little bit about the culture within Fox&Bear and how you've sort of created that, and where you're at with that.
So and that's definitely something that I've been proud of. I think from the very first hire, they've apart from maybe 2 out of 60 or whatever, haven't been great, but apart from that, they've been very good. And so I think we always hire. It starts right at the beginning. We hire on culture more than skill set sometimes. If you've got 3 candidates and one's got a year more experience and done exactly the job before, but you just know they wouldn't be a cultural fit, they wouldn't be the right choice for us. And so I think, starting from there is a key part. Yeah. The second thing, which is one of my favourite sayings, is show, don't tell. Yeah. So, this whole thing of we have 4 values and we're going to put the words on a board and you're going to see them every day, or a slogan on a board, and that's going to generate our culture. It's just nonsense. So, if we are saying we're an open and honest company and we talk to each other, we'll do that then. Don't have separate conversations, and don't, go behind people's back. Have open and honest conversations. That will breed open and honesty. Praise, publicly, and chastise privately. How do you want to be treated? You don't want to be called out in front of your team. You know yourself if you've done something wrong, so have a quiet word with them. But at the same time, everyone likes praise publicly. So do that, share successes. Also, the other bit, again, if we come back to failures, one bit I've really struggled with, if I'm honest, is as we're at this size, I have much less involvement with the junior members of the team than I did when we were 5 or 6, and I really struggle with that, and I really miss that, because I used to have much more of a relationship with everyone, and I'll go for a walk with someone or get lunch or a coffee. And it came to a point where if I kept doing that, I was undermining the senior management team, because obviously they were their direct line reports. If I'm doing that, then they know they've got a route into the MD. Are they going to listen as much to their line manager? So I've had to step away from doing that, which goes against everything I want to do. But then another light bulb moment was all of my senior management team are brilliant people who really care about what they do. So again, that culture has fed down, because trust them, respect them, know they're good at what they were hired to do. Leave them to it.
That's the thing as well, isn't it? I guess as being a good leader, one of the key things is, I guess, trust. Is being able to trust. Like you said, you've obviously got a clear mindset of where you wanted to be with the culture of the company from when you was at 3 people. This is how we're going to grow, and this is what I want to still. So when that senior management level come in, they're going to buy into your values and how you do it. So like you said, there shouldn't be any reason, when you structure the business like that, I guess there shouldn't be any reason why the junior members of staff are still getting the same conversations that you would have had with them, but because your senior members of staff are the similar mindsets to you.
And I think for that definitely trickles down to clients. So we always hire people, because we have some quite technical people, and sometimes there's a bit of a kind of a fallacy that technical people aren't comfortable speaking to people and feeding back and making reports. So everyone in my team you could pick up the phone and have a chat with, and there's no one. I would say to Christian, my number 2, when I'm writing up the table plan for a Christmas party, I'm never thinking, please, I can't sit next to that person. So that's always my litmus test of have we hired well. And at the same time, client feedback, and that transparency feeds to clients as well. Within our reports, we'll always say this has worked really well. We took a punt on these things, we tested these things, it hasn't worked, so we're going to learn from that and apply it for the next one. So again, you trust someone if they say to you, this is what we've not done as well. And so that breeds into that as well.
But back, like I said, back to what we're talking about just now, about open, honest, and that level of communication, I think, filters down. Like you said, the culture that I'm talking about, not just about the culture that you create within the company in regards to your staff and stuff like that, but how that relates to clients as well.
Yeah.
And exactly that, like you say, you create that culture where that communication is key. So right from you talking to the junior member of staff, senior member, whatever it may be, but right down to that junior member of staff relaying that to clients or however that sort of looks, just communication across the whole.
Definitely. And I think that's been another struggle, because on one hand, over the last year, as a sector, digital marketing is very set up to cope. You know, albeit our clients weren't at the beginning. All we need is a laptop and an internet connection, and it doesn't really matter where we are. If we're creating Google ads or optimizing a website or drafting an email, we can do that anywhere. The bit that was difficult is keeping the culture going, because some people have been really affected, and some people that maybe you wouldn't have presumed nervous about leaving their flat because of partners or because of their own situation. Others are in a small flat with their partner and desperate to get out. There's so many different things to think about. You can do all the murder mysteries on Zoom and all of those kind of things. They're never going to replace face-to-face interaction. So again, we tried loads of different things. The one that stuck, and I will keep going, we do a Monday morning 9:30. Any update from me goes into that, which is usually quite brief on a Monday, but we all have to come with one thing we're going to achieve that day and one thing we're either grateful for or would recommend.
Amazing.
And we've done that for over a year now, and it's just a nice way to frame the week, and it just keeps everyone, you know, most of the time it's Netflix or the weather that they're grateful for. Well, certainly not the last couple of months. No. And then on a Friday, I then close the week off. So we do something called Learn Something New, where we're on a round robin. You have to present 5 minutes, can be anything. We've had people presenting the history of Pride through to Persian swear words. There's a whole range of things, but it does two things. One, gives us an insight into a colleague that perhaps we don't work with. We can see, okay, Harry's well into disco music. Didn't know that about him. That's cool. Also, they practice their presenting skills, and then it keeps the whole team kind of culture going as well.
I love them. That's two really great ways, like I said, great way to start the week, great way to finish the week. And I know prior to lockdown, I think you always, is it something at 4 o'clock you stop and you arranging to go out and meals and stuff, obviously not been able to as much over the last year, but is that something obviously that you
Yeah, so, and again, this is the really difficult part, right? So we've the office is now open if you want to use it, and we're throttling the numbers, so we're not at 100%, but it's been the characters you would expect coming to the office, the gregarious, the kind of, you know, I'll go for a pint after work.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to become a divide between the people who like working at home. Yeah, so I'm very conscious of trying to do things that we can all enjoy. But Fridays is where we do the Learn Something New, so we finish at 3:45. Yeah. Someone will teach us something about them that we don't know. We'll do a team champ, so you have to vote for who you think's gone above and beyond that week, and the winner of that gets a £50 voucher every month for whatever they want. And then at 4 o'clock we down tools. Yeah. When we're in the office on a Friday, people have been skulking off and having a few beers. Yeah. When we're at home, you know, personally I've been then putting the computer away as quickly as I can and playing football with the boys in the garden. But we haven't got that let's have a beer at 4 o'clock on a Friday culture yet. Although I'm taking everyone out a week on Friday for a whole day out, so that'll be good.
Nice. I love them. Mate, there's some cool bits in there, and certainly something, like I say, I think it's something certainly on this podcast that I'm really keen to get across. I speak to people about it a lot and creating a code, because look, we talk about our strengths and weaknesses. I think what I found very difficult, especially from a salon point of view, not being a hairdresser and running a hair salon, was, you know, it added difficulties, and I think I found it very difficult to create a culture within a company. So that's something I've tried to learn and read about and find it fascinating. It's great talking about some great.
I think on that, just on that quickly, all of my team are better than me at what they do, without a doubt. But I'm happy to say that to all of them. Where the problems come is where you have a leader who thinks they know every single part. Someone said to me years ago, hire someone smarter than you and you won't go wrong. So every single person I've hired is more intelligent than me and knows their area better than me and can do their job better than me. But I'm good at, you know, having everyone on one page of what we want to achieve. So that's worked well. The second thing I would say, and it's true with all of life, you have to be true to yourself. If you are a very organised and very structured and very process-driven person, which I'm not, I am and kind of, does it feel right? Should we do it?
Yeah.
You have to be true to that. There's no point me saying, right, this is exactly what we're going to be doing in 3 Tuesdays' time, which some of my team would prefer.
Yeah.
But they know I'm going to be a bit flighty and a bit kind of, does it feel right? So they're not expecting anything else. They're happy with, well, mostly happy with that because they know that's what I am.
Sure.